Hey guys, it's Britt. Tonight we're here with a little reaction to a Brittany Dawn Q&A. I figured that I would make this a reaction because I think based off of the title, she's going to talk about some interesting things. This was posted a couple of weeks ago, but I still think that it's relevant, especially based off of the fact that she's being widely discussed all over the internet. And we're just going to react to it and see what it brings us. So if you're interested, please keep watching. I love how with her Q&As, she really tries to make it this like, oh, I'm being transparent and I'm answering the questions that people want to know about. But she heavily filters the questions that she's going to ask, and that's her free will to do. She's allowed to do it. But if you really are moving away from your past and you want people to think that you're some new and improved version of the reputation that you have online, then answering those hard-hitting questions would be in your best interest if you want to continue to gain momentum and turn a new leaf and show people that you're actually not a piece of crap. It would be in her better interest to be a little bit more open with the people who don't like her or might have some very realistic criticism for her. Face those people head on, answer the questions, and then people can't say, oh, well, you're avoiding questions. But she is. It's very, very clear to see. But let's keep going.
Okay, so this is a story I posted on December 15th. It is December 22nd. This is the story, so if you guys saw that on my Instagram. So I will be going through these questions. I went through a few of them and answered them on my stories, but there's so many that I didn't get to and didn't even get to read. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do that while I'm actually baking cookies. I have all these tin cans that I got on sale at Hobby Lobby.
Boo, Hobby Lobby. I am not a Hobby Lobby customer. I will never go to Hobby Lobby. I can't stand their business model. I don't like their business structure. I don't like the products that they sell. I think that it's a bunch of junk that contributes to this planet that is full of just trash and garbage and seasonal items that people don't hold on to. They end up in landfills and, you know, in dumpsters and stuff. But most importantly, Hobby Lobby are a bunch of Bible thumping, just, if y'all know anything about Hobby Lobby, you will understand why I will never be a customer of theirs. I've never bought anything from Hobby Lobby, and I don't plan to, period. But am I surprised that Brittany Dawn is not only a customer, but also openly promoting them on her platform? Not at all. The companies that these influencers so openly promote and say, hey, this product is from this company, go buy it because it's so amazing, that really says a lot about their moral code, at least to me it does. I think it's very telling when people like her want to co-sign a company like Hobby Lobby.
On sale at Hobby Lobby for like 70% off, you guys. Hobby Lobby is slept on. If you don't go to Hobby Lobby this time of the year to go get discount Christmas stuff, you are missing out. Before I start baking, I'm gonna answer a couple of questions. Let's see which one. Scroll.
And by the way, you can also buy cute little holiday tins and stuff like that from stores like Target. You can also find small privately owned businesses online that make tins like that, or containers if you're looking for something where you can give it out to neighbors or friends or family. There are so many other options. You don't need to go to Hobby Lobby, my opinion.
This question was probably one of the more asked ones, and I think it's because a lot of people are interested, genuinely interested in jumping into foster care as a foster care parent and learning the gist of it.
Who would use her as a teacher? That's my question. If you are using Brittany Dawn as a teacher for foster care, I would highly encourage you to look elsewhere. There are many other people who are not only morally bankrupt, but they are also much more experienced in the foster care system and how to actually protect these kids. Instead, what she did publicly was exploit the child. Even though the face of the child was hidden, she still fully exploited that child using clickable links and the mother's birth story and things that the child was experiencing for her own clicks and views on her own social media. That is disgusting. If you are thinking about getting into foster care, or maybe you're just curious and you don't know what you want to do yet, there are so many other people that will actually give you solid advice and I don't know who the hell is going to Brittany Dawn for this kind of information.
Do you choose what ages to take in, or do you take in all ages? When you get into foster care, at least our agency did, and I'm sure a lot of agencies do this, but they will ask you, do you have an age preference? And we felt called to kids under 4. We have a little one right now, but that's not to say we might not get placed with a 3-year-old.
You are really doing foster care for the right reasons. I personally don't believe that you limit yourself to kids from newborn to 4 years old. I think that, you know, she wants to go on a spiel about how the Lord called them to do this and sprinkle a bunch of Bible verses throughout different videos and stuff on social media. If the Lord called you to do this, I am pretty sure that he also would not say, but only for kids 4 and under. He would want all of the children who need help with reunification and they need a safe home. It doesn't matter what age they are. In my opinion, I think that Brittany Dawn wanted to use a small, cute little baby infant as a prop. She knew that it would get clicks and views, and for her, that child was a prop. She was, in a really weird way, she was acting as if the child was hers, even though it wasn't. The cute little outfits and the cute little baby bottles, and if you're truly doing it as an advocate, I personally don't think that you come out and say, kids 4 and under, God's telling us to do this, but we can only have kids 4 and under, sorry.
Is always reunification, and I've made that very, very known on my Instagram, on my stories, on my platform. I don't think that people understand that. If you're getting into foster care, you should be doing it for the kids, to provide a safe space, to be that middle ground in a season that...
But only for kids 4 and under.
So if you're getting into it for adoption, that's the wrong reason to get into it, because it's just going to leave you heartbroken a lot. And
how about if you're getting into it to clean up your image and post the child on social media? That's the wrong reason. Let's take religion and all of that kind of stuff out of this equation. If you're doing it because you really want to help these kids who do need the help, then you're not going to do what Brittany Dawn did, and you're not going to close the gap to say only kids 4 and under. That's our quote preference. You're not doing it for selfless reasons.
I feel like I'm constantly waiting on edge for a phone call. But do you choose what ages to take in, or do you take all ages? You can take all ages. We are just doing little ones, infants, kids.
They make really cute props and they get more clicks and views.
Kids, toddlers, that kind of thing. We just felt really called to that, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No. If you're called to foster care, you don't say only kids 4 and under. You open up your home to those children that are in need, period. That's my opinion.
In every age range. I love this question. How do you know? Us cooking up some chicken. Okay, how do you know if you're doing what God wants? This is such a good question. Honestly, the Lord gave us such confirmation for this. So obvious that I feared rejecting what God was showing me more than I feared the opinion of man, the intimidation of getting into the foster care system, because it can be very intimidating.
So God was showing you what you need to do, but only for, quote, cute little kids under 4 who are going to present well on social media when you use them as a prop. I personally don't think that God would ever say or promote such an idea, to say, you need to be foster parents, I'm calling you to do this, but only for little kids and babies.
Knowing that you're gonna be heartbroken at some point, like no one wants to be heartbroken. And so that was really scary, but I feared the Lord more than I feared that, more than I feared any worldly emotion I could go through or walk through.
No, instead of fearing the Lord, what she should have been doing is fearing the real repercussions of her actions, taking this child into her home. She almost caused a fire in her house. We covered that. Then she wants to use the child as a prop. You should be fearing what people are saying about you. If a bunch of people, and I'm talking about like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, have the same opinion that Brittany Dawn is using a child as a prop, it's probably because she is showing us that she's using the child as a prop, and it's disgusting.
We could walk through as a couple. Truthfully, I think that video is a video that deserves its own, like it should be its own video. Just talking about how Jordan and I got into foster, how we knew the Lord was calling us into it. The Lord is so faithful to send us confirmation. If you ask and you pray, the Lord is faithful to show up and speak yes or no. I've talked about this so many times, but there's a simple prayer called a nuclear prayer, because it literally is. It's a simple prayer you can pray, and you literally just say, Lord, open every door that needs to be opened and slam every door shut that needs to be.
Okay, so open every door, close every other door. And the doors that opened for them was take only cute little babies through the foster care system and post them on social media. Ew.
Is foster parenting just temporary? So awesome, y'all are doing it. Just curious. Yes, foster parenting is temporary. There is the foster to adopt option, which we are open to adoption, but we didn't get in it to adopt. Again, like I said in the first question, if you are getting into foster care to adopt, you are going to be so heartbroken. I personally feel like that's the wrong reason to be in foster care. We are simply in foster care because the Lord asked us to, and we know that we have a safe home that can provide a safe.
I would actually argue that their home is not completely safe. Obviously, most recent, the thing with the fire hazard that she caused. I'll link a video down below if you missed that. But also, let's talk about the demeanor of her husband, Jordan, and the fact that he has shown that he is not a caring individual. Publicly, he was sued by the ACLU for using absolutely unnecessary physical force while trying to arrest a black man. Obviously no longer a cop. Then we fast forward to the situation where he shot her dog in the head after it was hit by a car. They are not, they're not compassionate people based on what I have seen. And let's just say that the physical part is more so on Jordan. Brittany has co-signed it. She has co-signed it the entire way. So if you are co-signing bad behavior, then that means that you're okay with said bad behavior. And I don't give a damn if it's your husband, your dad, your uncle, your best friend from college. If you're co-signing bad behavior, that to me says that you are morally bankrupt, just like the person who is doing the behavior is.
Meantime, in the temporary and the in-between of getting them back with their parents and reconciliation. Are you going to wait to tell people you're pregnant once it happens again? This is a really good question, and honestly one that I had to process after the miscarriage, simply because immediately I felt this shame come over me of, wow, I told all these people, not social media, we had never announced on social media, but I was like, I told all of our family and my close friends, and so it was really hard to have to make those phone calls or send those texts or have friends come up and ask, hey, like, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And I'm like, oh, actually I miscarried. Like, that was really hard for me. And I felt this shame just consume me, to be completely honest. But then I had a revelation that that shame was not the Lord, and that the Lord wants us to celebrate these things. The Lord is joyous. He's joyous with us. He celebrates with us. All of heaven celebrates with us in those moments in pregnancy and conception and finding out you're pregnant and the whole process of that. And so, yes, I will absolutely be telling family. We will absolutely share and celebrate with our friends. And we'll announce on social media when the time is right, which is probably after the first trimester. I think that's when everyone does it. We were not planning on announcing during the first trimester, hence why you guys never saw that, and you just saw that I had a miscarriage. And so I'm not going to let the enemy steal something that is going to be, when that happens, such a special.
So funny how she wants to blame everything on the enemy. Everything is the enemy. It's never tied back to science, to health, to the way that you're actually feeling, mental health. What is your brain saying? Everything comes back to like, oh, if it's bad, it's the enemy. This is such like a and I'm not saying all Christians, my God, this is like such a, this conversation just gets so out of control so quickly. But what I am saying is Christians like Brittany Dawn, who carry themselves like her, it's kind of like they function in this fairy tale land where, you know, you pray to get things and God is like knocking on your door and telling you what to do, and you prayed for this big house and you got it, and then you prayed to get pregnant and you got pregnant. I don't like the living in fairy tale mystical storybook land. That's just my personal preference. I like to look at things for what they are and look at the facts, and that's just me. But I think that's also why it's not so much that she believes it, but it's the fact that she puts it out to young, impressionable people, and they might fall for her nonsensical BS talk. That's what bothers me.
Special thing. Is foster just for couples, or can you foster as a single woman? You can actually foster as a single woman or a single man. I think.
Why would you not be able to foster as a single person? That was a dumb question.
There were actually some people that went through training with us that were not married, and
because you're married doesn't make you more capable than someone who's single. Someone who's single might be a harder worker, more devoted, more, you know, they might have less distractions in their life than a couple would.
There were actually some people that went through training with us that were not married, and they were just incredible. They dove in head first. They were getting educated, they were learning, they were growing with us, and it was just really cool to see that different.
Hey, Hey, and I guarantee that a single person would not jump on social media and use the child as a prop like Brittany and Jordan did.
When you say that the child can be taken away at any moment, what does that mean? This is a really good question, and one that I am realizing, unless you're truly in the foster care system and you're here as a foster care parent, or you've gone through training, or you're a social worker or CPS or something in that capacity, you might not understand what that means. So if a child is taken from a foster family from where they were placed, it means that they are being reunified with their birth family, their biological mom, biological dad.
That means that if you're a dumbass, the CPS or foster care agency can remove the child from the home, as they should be able to. If you are creating fire hazards or putting that child in harm's way or risking the child's safety, they have every right to step in and take the child away. I don't understand why that's even a question. We have the genius Brittany Dawn here, who literally almost caused a fire in her kitchen while the child was in the house and she was in the garage doing a workout. That is putting that child at risk. And that is not okay.
And in that bubble of family or friends that is willing to accept a placement, as long as it takes to get them back with mom or dad. I mentioned this on my Instagram stories, but foster families are the last resort. So if things don't work out with a parent and a child, they actually try to contact as many family members as possible, aunts, uncles, grandparents, brothers, sisters, to try to get them to place the child with family, so that it stays in that circle. And if they can't find anyone to take the child, then that's when foster families are called. So again, we're kind of last resort, but we have so much love to give and we're here for it. Okay.
Yes, so reunification is obviously one thing that can happen, but if you put that child in harm's way and the foster care agency hears about it or finds out about it, they will remove the child.
We're gonna bake cookies. I'm making fudge. I also have a crock pot going, as you guys can see right there. Little one is napping. I've got dinner in the crock pot. I'm baking cookies. I vacuumed today and I put makeup on and I showered. So don't be fooled, you guys. The last week and a half has been
really tries to she's gonna really dive into this like mommy vlogger thing as soon as they have a kid. That kid's gonna be plastered all over social media. I already know that. But this whole idea of like, oh, I have stuff in the oven, I'm cooking dinner, I'm baking cookies, I'm making fudge, I have makeup on, my hair is done, blah blah blah. Okay, I'd rather not cause fire hazards with a child in the home and not have makeup on and not have any of this dumb shit cooking in the kitchen and know that I didn't almost burn my house down. But that's just me.
Everything was just flipped upside down for the best, and so it just feels good. It feels good to feel like we're getting into a routine. This is our new normal. We love our new normal, and yeah, it just feels like, okay, we can do this. Like, we've got this. We can breathe again. All is well. Okay. The next question, what church do y'all go to? We currently go to the House Fort Worth. We absolutely love it. No, we do not attend Mercy Culture anymore, and that is all I'll talk about. That is all I'll say. I've been getting that question a lot, and I have nothing bad to say about Mercy Culture.
Ooh, I want to know the tea about what happened, why they're not going to their old church anymore. I'll have to look on Reddit, but if y'all know anything about that, let me know. I am very curious about that. Maybe they were like, y'all suck. You're not allowed to come here anymore. And if a church is kicking them out, then I think that says a whole lot. But I do wonder if there was some kind of drama there, just like me being curious. I don't know.
We are at the House Fort Worth. It's amazing. We love it. Holy Spirit filled. Pastor Micah is incredible. Pastor Lindsay's incredible. We just love it and we feel at home there. The next question asks, do you love watching Jordan?
If they feel at home there, that is a place that I would not want to go within 500 yards of. Just saying.
As a foster dad? The answer, yes. Yes, I do. I literally, just when I thought, wow, this is so dangerous, just when I thought I couldn't love Jordan anymore, watching him step into this role as a dad, a foster dad, is truly unreal. And as if I didn't already have baby fever, you guys, like, it is a whole nother level now.
I've said before, Jordan to me does not seem, and there are just some people that are this way. They don't have that seed inside of them to be gentle and compassionate and full of love for any child who comes into their life. I think that they both enjoyed this little baby while they had it because it was a prop and it was really cute and fun to dress up. But just based off of his recent history, I don't look at him as someone who is really compassionate. And I think that it also says a lot about Brittany Dawn that she's sitting here co-signing all of the bad shit that he did. It's like, as a Christian like her, like these types of Christians, you can literally kill someone. You can kill a dog. You can beat up a black person. And it'll just be glazed over, and it's, oh, well, the Lord forgave me. Oh, I repented for my sins. And that just doesn't sit right with me.
How are your sister and nephew? I feel like we never hear about them anymore. They're doing good. They're doing really good. Just because I don't post about family doesn't mean that they're not in my life, not in our life. There is a balance between what you should post and what you shouldn't post. And I truly believe that people online sometimes feel obligated to know every aspect of an influencer's life or a content creator.
And guess what you shouldn't be posting? Your foster child. What kind of health issues they're having, all about the mom and what kind of substances she was using during pregnancy and how it's affecting this child's life and all the things that you're having to do to help this child feel better because you are the savior that you are. That should have stayed offline, period. Zero exceptions. It should have never been online. Them being foster parents, none of social media should have ever known anything about that.
Life, we have rights to privacy just like anyone else does. And so just because I'm not posting...
Oh yeah, you have rights to privacy, but what about that foster child that you were sharing what kind of health problems the poor little baby was receiving? And what about the birth mother who was probably dealing with postpartum, reading your bullshit all over your Instagram stories? How do you think that made her feel? So they get privacy, nobody else does. Got it.
Stories as much anymore doesn't mean anything. Okay, the next question. How do you deal with people bringing up your past when you've made a complete 180? Honestly, I don't. I just don't. Like, it doesn't bother me. The Lord truly protects me and shields me every single day. Just the armor of God is incredible. Right?
Oh, so nobody can give her criticism because she has the armor of God. I think that is the biggest heaping pile of bullshit that I've ever heard. And I think it's disgusting. I think that people like her really make... they make a lot of people question people who are religious. And to say that you're protected from people that you owe money to, that you've mistreated, that you took advantage of, as a reminder, we still have an incoming lawsuit that is not settled. It's not finished. But you have the armor of God. So you're just good to go now. People need to forget about what you did, even though you still owe people money. And those are still people who are dealing with the emotions surrounding what you put them through, taking advantage of them when they were in some of their lowest states, dealing with things like eating disorders and bad relationships with food. You took their money and ran. But now you have the armor of God, so everybody just needs to dust off their hands and move on. That's not how the world works.
I know. If people are so stuck in my past, which is now 4 to 6 years ago, then that says way more about them than it says about me. People have permission to grow. We have permission to learn, to move forward, to change, to alter, to encounter the Lord.
Okay, then make changes. Leave the Lord out of it. If you're truly making changes and you want people to see what a great person you are, all of this armor of God and praying and, I go to church and I'm doing all of these worship camps and all of this kind of stuff, all of that can go on to the side. Let's focus on your actions. And the actions that I have seen is her exploiting a foster child, almost burning her house down, her husband shooting their dog in the head, her mistreating animals. And as I've said before, if you mistreat people or animals, in my opinion, if there's a real place that's hell, may you rot in it for all eternity. I do not have any tolerance for people who physically harm people or animals. My opinion.
To do that and let the Lord radically change our hearts as he does. He is the Savior, the Messiah, the one and only, and he did that for me. How do you like being foster dad?
You said step into my blog.
I said vlog, not blog. There's a difference.
Oh, tell me about it.
So
not just one letter?
A vlog is video
No
log.
regrets.
No regrets.
We're going to fast forward. She kind of has this little middle section of her making cookies, and Jordan's big head is in the frame. I'm not going to put you guys through that. We're just going to go to the kind of the second part of this.
And it says, have you had any implants, fillers in your face? No hate, just curious. God bless always. No, I don't have any implants, which is shocking given that I was in the fitness industry for as long as I was. There was a lot of pressure to get breast implants, body alterations, all of those things. And I'm so grateful I got out of it when I did, because that pressure was just ongoing. As far as fillers in my face, I don't have any fillers currently. Have I in the past? Yes, I have. I've been very open about that too. I used to get lip fillers, and I've gotten filler like on my nasal labial fold, I believe is what they're called. Clearly I've gotten it. I know what that's called. I've gotten that done before, and it's not to say I won't ever get it done again. I probably will, but it really was just a personal preference at that time. Not to say I won't ever get filler again. I'm sure I will at some point. And there's no hate to it. Do I get Botox? Yes, I do.
With the filler thing, you know, if she says that she doesn't have it right now, like I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to pick it apart. The one thing that I will say is I have no issue with fillers, and lip filler was one of the parts of the title of this video. I'm all for getting fillers, but unfortunately the problem with fillers is they can be overdone very quickly, and the body holds on to filler for much longer than some studies have shown. And unfortunately, when you get filler for an extended period of time, that's where you start to just kind of look overinflated. And I don't care, like if that's what you want to do, fine. The problem that I've had personally is if an influencer has a lip filler and then they want to come out and say, oh, this lip product makes your lips full, but they have lip filler, that is unfair marketing. If somebody has under eye filler and they want to say, oh, this eye cream makes your under eyes full and luscious and bright and all the good things. It's one thing if you want to say, oh, this eye cream is brightening, but don't come and say that it's going to replace volume when everybody knows the only thing that can replace lost volume is replacing it with a filler or fat. That's been my problem. I just wanted to hit on it because I don't care if she gets fillers. Do you, girl? Just don't say that, oh, this lip balm is amazing when it's actually lip filler. That's what gets on my nerves.
Given any indication of how long a baby might be with you, or is it always unknown? That is really a good question. This is our first placement, so I really can't speak to that very much, but what I can share is my personal experience, our personal experience with this child. We don't really know how long this child could be with us. That's just kind of part of foster care. You don't really have any answers. You are just a temporary home, temporary loving home for this child, for these children, if it's multiple siblings. And I'm sure that there's situations where you might have an idea of how long you'll have them, but right now in this story, in this situation, we really don't. What has been the greatest shock for you from first time fostering a newborn baby? I think all of it. I mean, if I'm being really honest, like I'm sure that goes without saying, even when you're a first time parent and you have your own child and you birth your own child, like all of it is just a complete shock. You've never done this before, you've never gone down this path before, and so it's just venturing down new territory that, as educated as you feel, there's just some things that you don't really learn until you're in the thick of it. And that's kind of what Jordan and I have been experiencing. It's really
I mean, let's just talk about influencers becoming parents or becoming foster parents for just a second. To go to an influencer as a working mom or a working dad and say, oh, how do you manage to get it all done? You're asking somebody who is literally in their home 24 hours a day with their child. I always think it's interesting. Take advice from whomever it is that you want to take advice from. But when we're talking about influencers, they show a lifestyle that is 100% unattainable. They literally are at home all day. They have the financial resources to have their groceries delivered. They have the financial resources to order everything online so that they don't have to take their baby or their kids out to go shop. They have the financial resources to hire someone to help meal prep or come into their house and cook dinner, once or twice a week. They just have so many luxuries that the normal working parent doesn't have. So again, like ask all the questions you want to, but asking Brittany Dawn for any advice about foster parenting, organization, any of the above, if you're a working parent, it's just like, to me, that would be useless advice, but that's just my opinion.
Are you nervous that you will have a child for a long period of time and get attached? These kids need to know that they're lovable. These kids need to know that they're cared for. These kids need to know that there's people in this world that would fight for them.
But only if they're 4 and under and really cute to post on social media.
do anything for them, would open their home for them. And I think it's really sad if there's families out there who have a child, have a foster care placement for an extended period of time, and they're scared to love because they're scared of getting hurt. Like, how do you think these kids feel? The trauma these children are walking through, our heartbreak pales in comparison to what they've walked through.
And that's another reason why they should be protected from social media. Even if you're hiding their identity and not showing their face, their stories are not for your Instagram story and your clickable links. It's disgusting.
Have that perspective on it. It makes it a lot easier to love with your whole heart. From a biblical perspective, that's what we're called to do. We're called to love from a place of selflessness. Like, we're not called to throw walls up. We're not called to love to a certain extent.
The only thing that I think Brittany Dawn loves fully is money. She loves money. She loves income. She loves any way that she can get your money or make more money in a new manner. I don't think that she is someone who is just like this big old heart who's full and ready to love based on her own actions. That is my opinion.
Honest, like, no one wants to walk through heartbreak. My heartbreak and what we'll feel in the future when that time comes, it pales in comparison to what these children have walked through already in their lives. And so we are interested in fostering. Would you mind sharing the process for getting started? Yeah, happy to. So I kind of shared this on my Instagram the other day. The best piece of advice I could give you is, if you're looking to start foster care, get plugged into foster care, then I would recommend searching for agencies. If you want a Christian agency, search for that. If you want just an all-around agency, search for that. Do your research, read reviews. There's definitely incredible agencies out there, and I'm sure that there's really not so great agencies out there. Do your research. If you know people that are foster parents, ask them, get their input, because they've been walking this journey already. Once you find an agency that you would like to work with, they typically have like an introductory, or like, hey, this is who we are, this is what we do, this is what foster care is. Ask questions. Like, we asked a lot of questions and they answered every single one. They answered it with a smile on their face. They weren't annoyed by our questions. They were very adamant about making sure all of our questions were answered. And so those were all really good signs that, like, okay, this is a good fit for us. And the questions kind of go hand in hand. The first one, how long did it take to get licensed to foster? And the second one is, how did you get through the foster care process so quickly? It takes people years sometimes. We didn't really get through it quickly. We started the process in
But
January.
this person was saying everything happened so quickly because they were licensed in November and then so quickly got their first placement. And I guess if they have kids that need to be placed, then that would make sense. But I think that the person was talking about, sometimes it does take years for the qualifications to be met and the paperwork to be processed and all of this kind of stuff. And I still wonder about the financial aspect of their qualifications, because she has an open lawsuit against her. So I just don't quite understand how an agency would view that when someone is being sued for dishonest business practices. How does that tie in with them being a foster parent?
Got our first placement 12 months later, 11 months later. So it wasn't an overnight thing by any means. We've been in the thick of this since the start of the year, starting in January when we started researching agencies, looking around, trying to get connected to the right agency. And then we obviously got licensed in November, the second to last week of November, whenever I posted on Instagram. And then we literally got our first placement in December. So it wasn't an overnight process by any means. And there were people that we started training with back at the beginning of this year that actually were done by like August. So it actually doesn't take a few years. I'm not sure where that information is coming from. It's just a grueling process. But if you're willing to like sit through.
So she wants to talk about how she doesn't want to give out advice about being foster parents, but all that she's done is give out advice about being foster parents. Like, it might be surface level, but she has monetized and made clickable everything for this entire process. You're answering questions from people who have questions about the foster care system.
Like, time needs to slow down. So no advice. Actually, my advice would be, when you have that precious baby, just soak it all in. That's my advice. There you go. There's my advice, because it goes fast. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I found myself crying the other morning over it because it's just so precious and it happens so fast. You just see God's beauty in a tiny human and you're just like, my Savior, my Messiah, my God created this child.
How about the mother that carried the child for 9 months? Had a large part in creating that child as well. Let's just completely glaze over the mother who went through a grueling labor process and also had to have her child put into foster care, to have someone like Brittany Dawn come in and act like the white savior that she is. But let's just talk about how it's God, Messiah, whatever, who created the baby. Just totally glaze over the mother. That is extremely disrespectful, in my opinion.
Emotions came over you when you got the call for a placement? Crazy thing. So it was wild. We got home from Colorado on Sunday night, and there was something I kept telling Jordan the whole weekend. I was like, babe, I feel like we're gonna get called on Monday. Like I felt it. Whew, sorry guys, that's literally the third yawn. Maybe I need to go to bed. But I kept telling Jordan, I was like, babe, I just really feel like we're gonna get called, like we're gonna get a placement. I don't know what it is, I just feel that way. And Monday, I'd gone to the gym, run some errands, done some work, sitting in the bathroom getting ready, and my phone rang, and it was our caseworker. And my stomach, like, it was a combination of like my stomach dropped, but also butterflies. Like, it was the weirdest thing I've never felt before. And so I answered it, and I was like, hello? And she was like, hi, Brittany. And I just, yeah, so that's what that was. And I immediately knew it was a yes. Like, without a doubt, I was like, yes, we'll take the child. And I called Jordan, dialed him in. He was like, absolutely. What time? All the things. And so this is really happening. Moments, emotions, whatever. And the last question, will you still plan to foster when you have a baby?
So their plan is to still foster even if they get pregnant and, you know, whatever. If she gets another placement, which I don't know with that whole fire hazard thing, we'll never know the truth about that, but let's just say that she gets another placement. I really hope that their agency puts down some very strict rules where Brittany Dawn cannot show that child on social media at all, and she's not allowed to talk about the birth mother. Could you imagine this? And some of y'all watching this, you might have experienced postpartum depression. And even if you didn't experience postpartum depression, maybe you just experienced some very heavy emotions right after having your child or your children. If you were sitting there and you saw this woman on social media, not only posting photos of your child, but also collecting money off of clickable links and showcasing different Instagram stories and putting herself up on a pedestal and sharing these, quote, foster mom fails of the day, where it's actually just a fire hazard, how would that make that mother feel? And here she is just tying everything back to God. I just find it to be very distasteful, and I find it to be quite gross if I'm being really unfiltered. But either way, I wanted to share that Q&A with you guys. Yes, I know it's a few weeks old, but I did feel like she had some interesting points that I wanted to throw my unsolicited opinion on. That's going to be it for now. So if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.